Hi everyone, welcome to the Jiu Jitsu podcast. My name is Stacy, I'm a Jiu Jitsu and this is my podcast. For this episode, I had the absolute pleasure and privilege of sitting down with my friend and training partner, Denise Andrews, to discuss her path to Jiu Jitsu, especially as a woman who started Jiu Jitsu when she was in her 50s. And this is part of a two-part series called Jiu Jitsu at Any Age. And so Denise and I sat down and had a really great chat about her experiences, her thoughts, and, all sorts of stuff like that. So I hope that you enjoy. And without further ado, here is Denise Andrews. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be sitting here with Denise. She is my friend and training partner. We've been training together for years now. And Denise, you're my first ever interview.
I feel so, privileged. I feel so privileged to be here.
Thanks. I'm so happy to have you here. So Denise, can you please just kind of describe yourself a little bit for the listeners, your current belt rank, and then what's your role at our academy?
So I am a purple belt, recently promoted to purple around Christmas time. So very excited about that. I started Jiu Jitsu in about late 2019. So maybe, what is that? 3.5 years ago, something like that. And I started at at our current academy, Gracie Baja Downers Grove, and I've stayed there ever since. I have no regrets whatsoever. I am not your typical beginner in jiu-jitsu because I was 53 when I began this journey. And I got it. So do you want?
So like, how did you kind of get into jiu-jitsu? Like being kind of an quote unquote older adult.
I'm definitely an older adult. I tell everybody this story that basically doing a martial art was a bucket list item of mine. And when I say bucket list, I thought, that's kind of a catch-all phrase, like something that you just want to do. When I say bucket list for jiu-jitsu, it was actually martial art. It was not like I had a bucket list item that I wanted to get a black belt in a martial art or something like that. It was just something that ever since I was a kid, I've always been interested in the martial arts, and I thought someday I need to try it.
Okay. So had you never done anything like that before?
Nothing like that. I call myself an athlete. I've done growing up softball. I played soccer competitively. I was on the rowing team at University of Michigan. I'm not afraid to try new things. Let's put it that way. I've done a lot of different sports, and so when I was turning 23, or what I say, 53, not 23, I wish. I was turning 53, and I thought, if I'm ever going to do this bucket list item of mine, at least try a martial art, I better do it soon. I'm not getting any younger. So I knew nothing about jiu-jitsu. I didn't even know very much about martial arts, to be honest, other than, what you see on TV and karate and Tai Chi, although I don't really even know what Tai Chi is, much more than I did 4 years ago. But
I don't think
I just don't, No, I know, right? So I just do what most people do when they don't know about something they want to know more about. I Googled it. I Googled martial arts, and I basically did a little research on what each of them was.
Right.
I wouldn't quiz me on that now, but at the time, I was attracted to Jiu Jitsu because they called it the gentle art, and that it was primarily focused on self-defense.
Yes.
and it was not an aggressive type of martial art. And I thought, well, that's what I'm looking for, self-defense. I just want to be able to defend myself or feel comfortable in situations where I might need to defend myself. And I also have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is good. I'll be able to pass on some information to them.
Oh my God.
And,
yeah, for sure.
So I just started there, and I found the school that we're both a member of, because it was the closest one to me. And I like you read the reviews, and all the reviews were really good. And so it was the first place I walked into. I called and set up an intro session, and no idea what it was going to be like, and it was nothing like I thought it would be like.
In a
if
good
that
way?
makes sense.
Hopefully.
In a good way. It was, you know what? It was one of those things where I went and I was like, I still have no idea what this sport is all about. It was because you go in and you do, I learned a lot as I went. Let's put it that way. It's not the type of sport where you walk in and you start on day 1, lesson 1.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like that at all.
Yep.
So that was intriguing to me. It kept me coming back. Let's put it that way.
Oh, like the mental puzzle of it?
Or? I was like, well, I can't quit until at least I know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
Did we ever know what we're doing,
though,
Denise?
No, that's why I'm still doing it. Like almost 4 years later, I'm still trying to figure it out. That's the beauty of it. It's I do feel like I know a little bit of what I'm doing now. I have to say, but yeah, it's a fantastic sport if you don't get frustrated by never being perfect at it, because you never will.
Oh, well, and to that point, I'm a perfectionist, Denise.
Yeah, so am I.
It was a struggle.
That's
in the
why
beginning.
I'm still here, right?
Yeah, because I want to get good at it.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult in the beginning, because I was like, oh my God, why can't I do this right? Kind of a thing. So yeah, my anxious perfectionistic self had a field day with that in the beginning. I mean, I'm much better about it now, but yeah, I love that you said that it's like you can't think about being perfect at it, because you're not gonna be.
You're never gonna be perfect at it. And you know what? Like any other sport, you have good days and bad days.
True. Absolutely.
And especially
100%.
I won't say especially at my age, because I think even when I was younger, I had good days and bad days in sports.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, some days I'm kind of, my brain's foggier and I'm just not feeling it. So,
for sure.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
You just kind of go, and you don't have to be on top performance every day.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to keep showing up. It's the consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, there's so many different journeys that you can take through Jiu Jitsu.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm on my own journey, and it's like I said before, I had no idea what I was getting into, and I'm still trying to find my way. I'm still trying to figure out, am I going to ever compete, or am I satisfied just trying to master as much as I can and move through the ranks as much as I can, and just make it a personal journey, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I for right now, I'm happy just going and continuing to learn and improve and get better at what I've been taught.
Definitely. I mean, and with you being purple belt, I feel like what Professor Carlos likes to tell us too is that like you are starting to get into the point where you are starting to refine what you have learned. It's what's that type of graph, like for the math people who can visualize this, where you're on the coordinate plane, where you start at 0 and it curves up super steep, and then you get to like the top limit. Maybe it's a limit. Okay, whatever. Anyway, sorry, I'm not a math person.
Yeah.
I barely made it through Calc 1 in high school, and I was like, oh God. Anyway, I'm visual though, so I remember the graph. So anyway, back myself up. You start at 0 and you have a steep incline in the beginning, and then as you approach the upper limit, it starts to curve off, and then you just basically never reach the limit, but you get closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of equate that sort of with like the belts in jiu-jitsu, where it's like your white and blue belt are sort of like the beginning of that curve, where it's like you have a huge amount of knowledge that you're gaining, like in a pretty quick, like it's a pretty steep learning curve at the beginning, and you gain a lot of knowledge relatively quickly. And then I kind of feel like by purple belt, that's when you start to turn the corner and things start to kind of like
plateau a little
bit.
Like you're not learning
I don't know if I want to call it plateau, but it's more like you are not necessarily gaining just like a ton of knowledge. I mean, you're still gaining knowledge because like the line still gets closer to the limit, but you're mostly just refining what you already know.
Refining it and making it more rote, making it more intuitive.
Yeah, definitely muscle
rather
memory.
than have muscle memory. Absolutely. You just gotta even the not just muscle memory. Even for me, it's oh yeah, I remember learning this, and then doing it over again, and then just repetition.
Definitely.
And by purple belt, hopefully, like you said, we're refining it a little bit and making it so that it's a little bit more intuitive as to how to move next.
Oh, right? For sure. Yeah, and that I also feel like that's something that you just kind of pick up along the way. Like, you know, I was never really athletic. I mean, I'm getting a little off topic here, but just because we talked about this, and I'll ask you the next thing. But in the beginning, I had difficulties with weight distribution, balance, stuff like that, because I had I really didn't have very good body awareness. But I developed that skill. I'm like way better at it now than I used to be. You know, so it's not like necessarily that people have to, I mean, that's part of the learning process, is like people don't have to be inherently good at this kind of stuff in order to be successful at jiu-jitsu.
No, and exactly. I, you know, the sports that I have participated in the past, you know, gave me great balance and core strength, and you know, like I'm thinking particularly about rowing. You can't have a lot of extra movement in rowing, or the boat doesn't go as fast as it's supposed to, as you can make it. Okay, so if I'm in an 8-man boat, I happen to have been stroke, which is the person that is in the front. I put that in quotes because really you're in the back, but everybody's following your stroke. You set the pace. And if you are waving left and right, whatever, the boat's tipping left and right, you know, you have to be able to stroke and keep very stable core and maintain a good posture. And so taking that and translating that into jiu-jitsu, actually the balance and everything else and the core strength has been fantastic. However, the one thing that I've really had to work hard on in jiu-jitsu is my weight, using my weight, using pressure. I've always been, you know, the stuff that I've worked on is and participated in is always light on your feet. You know, and jiu-jitsu definitely want to have great movement, but you also have to use a lot of pressure and body weight, being aware of your, like you said, aware of your body weight, but also just using it. And that's been a real challenge for me. You know, I'm always trying to be light, and you can't be light in jiu-jitsu.
Well, I mean, I feel like us as women, now maybe this isn't you because you are a trained athlete and you've had to be, you know, like light on your feet, but I feel like also kind of like us as women, you know, it's like we're always kind of given this you know, like kind of constant feedback noise from society is like, you know, don't be big, don't be heavy, don't take up space, like don't do that, you know. So like I have kind of always been like on the larger side, I would consider myself. I'm heavier than a lot of the other women, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so like for the longest time I was really afraid of like using my, like you just said, using my weight and using that pressure and like using, you know, being able to do that kind of thing. So
it's a real advantage if you use it.
If you know how to use it, and if you're also not afraid of using it either.
Exactly, it's a good advantage to have.
So let me ask you this. So we're talking about jiu-jitsu. You and I both have been doing this for some years now. But can you describe what it was like starting jiu-jitsu as a quote-unquote older adult? Because you said you were 53.
Yeah.
Now, I was about to turn 29 when I started, and I still considered myself to be like, oh, I should have started like 10 years ago. You know, and I feel like a lot of people, when they get into sports like this, they do tend to start in their like late teens, early 20s and stuff like that.
Sure.
But, you know, and then for me, I started, you know, right around the cusp of turning 30. And I thought that was, in my mind, I thought that was old, you know, oh my God, I'm so old. But like, you know, you being in your 50s when you started, what was that kind of like for you?
So it's I guess, you have to have, when you come into anything new, right, you have to have some self-awareness and confidence in yourself. And even if you don't have it, you kind of just have to fake it for a while. You know, I have days when I'm incredibly insecure and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why do I even have a purple belt? But I also understand that a lot of people have days like that.
Oh my God,
you know, and then the ones that don't are the ones that have the huge egos, and you and you don't really want to roll around with them anyway.
No, not
so starting old, I you know what? I had to. It's almost like you kind of go into it blind. Like, I don't feel like I'm in my 50s. I really don't. I feel young, and you know, I feel youthful. I feel strong, and jiu-jitsu has made that even more powerful of a feeling. You know, there's days where I feel like I mean, how do I say this? I recognize my age. Unfortunately, I wish I were as young as I think I should be, but I'm not, and so I have to realize my limitations. And that's just a part of getting older, I guess. You know, and my one limitation, I would say, that I have in jiu-jitsu is I feel like I have to be more careful with my bones, my fingers and my toes.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Because you lose bone mass no matter what you do, and like I said, I've been an athlete almost all my life, and if I wasn't in a sport, I was doing strength training or in the gym, or I've basically done most of the stuff that they offer at gyms. But you know, you lose muscle mass or bone mass, and so you know, you can't be afraid of kind of twisting a few fingers, and but I've learned I tape my fingers now. And
your toes too.
And I sometimes tape my toes.
Broken a toe?
I've broken a toe and sprained a couple toes. So yeah, I'll just tape them. And now I preventatively tape them. I don't just tape them now when they're hurt. I tape them pretty much anytime I know that I'm going to be sparring, because they're just not as strong as they used to be. So that's the one limitation I have. But for me, it's just a sport. Yeah, I don't know how else to put it. And my age is just a number. Yeah. Other than the couple of limitations that I feel that I have. Yeah. And maybe had I started when I was 20, I'd be competing. I know I would be competing. Yeah. Because I'm competitive. But and then maybe I'm still leaving it open that I might compete someday. But
yeah, never say never.
I highly recommend it if you know, if you're not somebody that shies away from sweat and grind and working hard and being in uncomfortable positions, you know, but I don't think you can ever be too heavy or too light or too tall or too short or too whatever. Yeah. I think you should try it, see if it's for you.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with you. And like, that's the thing too, is like, I think a lot of times people have it kind of in their head that like, oh, I'm too old for that, or oh, I'm not athletic enough for that, or oh, I'm too skinny for that, I'm too small for that, kind of a thing. But it's like jiu-jitsu, I feel like, is the great equalizer, because none of that stuff matters.
No.
It literally doesn't even matter. Like
Every one of those things is an asset in a particular situation.
And it's like the more you come, like the more consistent you are, like the more you do it, like your body will adapt to the different movements and stuff. Like, you know, you will also learn how to adapt your particular body to what you're doing.
Right.
Like, cause like, for example, like you're thin and you have very long legs, you know, I'm like short and stocky, but I have a long torso, you know what I mean? So it's like, you have to kind of figure out like what positions are your strengths. And you have to also figure out like where kind of your weaknesses are. And you only really do that by rolling, sparring, you know, training with people of all sorts of different body types.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, I think 19 times out of 20, I'm sparring with somebody with a completely different body type than me. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm 19 times out of 20, I'm sparring with a man. So
yeah, for sure. Unless you and I are in the same class.
I know, it's so nice when we're in the same class.
Me and Denise.
Yeah, the women have a special bond, I think.
We do.
Because
there's
agree, not as many of us.
I wish there were more.
Yes, we're trying. That's why you're doing this, right? To get more ladies
I mean,
out
just
there.
like to talk with the ladies and just kind of talk about our experiences, and like it's not this big scary thing, you know? I mean, we've got little kids doing it. I mean, that's what I'm going to talk to Coach Vince about, is like have the kids program and stuff. You know, we got ladies of my age, you know, we got ladies of your age, like we've got like all sorts of people.
The one other thing that I wanted to mention, starting jiu-jitsu older, one of the benefits I've gotten from it, and I had no idea that I would, is the mental exercise, the focus you need, the mental. You're basically engaging in bodily or physical chess.
Yes.
But it's also, so it's physical chess, but you're making the movements with your brain. Yeah. Right. So the what we were talking about, the moves and the things that you learn. There is, like you said, with at purple belt, you're starting to get some muscle memory there, but it's still very mental. And if everybody says when you get older, one of the most important thing is to keep your brain active. And that is a huge benefit of jiu-jitsu in particular. Compare that to getting on the treadmill and running, where you just like zone out. Blah.
Yeah.
There's no mental involvement there.
Exactly. That's
right.
why I hate the treadmill.
Jiu-jitsu is like the farthest end of the spectrum from that, which is fantastic. And I think the other fantastic thing about it is you set your own goals, and like we were saying before, there's so many different paths. You can just be a once a weeker, and if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. Yeah. It's going to take you longer, but it's still you will still get the benefits.
Exactly. Just keep showing up.
Just keep showing up.
Just keep showing up. Never quit.
So, and no matter what age.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what age. I mean, have you? I follow. Well, actually, I don't know if I follow, but I've seen on Instagram this account, Jiu Jitsu Grandma.
Totally. I was just going to mention her.
Yes.
She's
just
like
got promoted
79.
to purple belt.
She's 79.
But it's like, and I don't actually know when she started. I don't follow her that closely. Maybe I should. Oh my God. Maybe I should contact her. Never mind. Anyway, but like, just like to see her, if she's like in her late 70s or whatever, and she started jiu-jitsu, and like, and she competes.
She does compete.
She competes. Like, look at I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, like we said, competition earlier, like competition's not necessarily for everybody, but it's like, your age shouldn't necessarily
shouldn't stop you.
Yeah, like hold you back from trying if that's what you want to do.
No, yeah. It's fantastic. So, and I love going to the school, the academy, and seeing the same face. It's like a whole family for me.
I agree.
I sometimes feel like the mom.
Oh my God, me too.
I feel like mom.
I'm the mom, and sometimes I'm like the fun, like auntie, and then sometimes I'm like the big sister. And
so it's
sometimes I'm the little sister.
It's fun.
Getting teased.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. And Stacy loves to giggle, if you haven't
I
noticed.
do.
She's a
I
giggler.
do. I giggle more when I'm like talking to my friends too. Like because the episodes I recorded by myself, I'm like trying to be very like, I don't know, like methodical and be like, okay, I gotta tell this. I can't get too off track and like this kind of thing. But like just like chatting here with you, I'm like kind of going back. Like I'm like defaulting to my normal.
Well,
this is like what I normally am like.
That's what you want to do, right? And makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am so happy I took the plunge and just started it. And I talk about it wherever I go, and I'm constantly trying to talk people into starting it. I just got back from Vietnam and Saigon and Cambodia, and on the flight over, I sat next to a young, maybe 30-something guy from California, and by the end of it, he's like, I need to start jiu-jitsu. I've been isolating way too. I mean, we were having this intimate conversation. We've been having. I've been isolating way too much. I surf, and that's a lonely sport, but I love it. But
I mean, do what you love, but also like you said,
I need
try
that
new
family.
things.
I need to meet more people. So it was really funny.
I love it.
Yeah, I love talking jiu-jitsu.
Me too. So you mentioned benefits of starting jiu-jitsu as an adult. But like if somebody is an adult now and they want to start jiu-jitsu, what are some challenges that they might face as an adult starting?
Again, I think it's only your own personal hurdles that you put up. I mean, if you didn't have those, you could walk in and you'll start jiu-jitsu. That's just it. But it's your own insecurities that are going to stop you. So, you just have to go in with an open mind and be realistic about your abilities and your physical fitness. And, you will get stronger. You will get better.
Yes.
And you will get more comfortable. And you'll get to know the people there, so you'll get much more comfortable sparring with people.
Yeah.
Because once they're your friends, it's so much fun that it doesn't matter who's winning or submitting you. There's no ego involved. It's just friends having a great time. And I think you put up your own hurdles. So if you can just and then make some friends, talk to the other ladies there, and try to get a training buddy, and I think that'll help you overcome those hurdles that we all have.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, because have you ever watched like the kids classes or seen the kids compete? Like
they're fearless.
They don't even care. Like they are like, I mean, some of the older kids, you can tell they're starting to develop that like sense of wanting to win, feeling nervous, but like the little ones, they literally are just there to have a good time.
Yeah, it's like when you see them on the ski slopes.
Oh my gosh, they're the funniest
fearless.
thing. It's so funny and also incredibly cute and endearing to watch them spar or compete with each other. And they are not afraid of taking each other down. They're not afraid of like doing the positions. They're not afraid of like, I don't know, whatever. But it's like then if you switch and watch the adults, there's so much like nervousness, anxiety, like everybody's, you know what I mean? It's like stakes are higher, this and that. And it's just like, yes, like jiu-jitsu can be competitive because there is a competitive element to it as a sport. But at the same time, it's like jiu-jitsu is fun.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like as adults, we kind of lose the joy out of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to keep it fun.
Yeah.
And again, especially at my age, I'm not going out and winning any world titles.
Well, neither am I.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like, let's be realistic. Be realistic and accept your limitations, whatever they may be, and
learn how to, I would say also learn how to modify and adapt like you did.
Yeah.
You just said like a few minutes ago that you tape your fingers and stuff.
I tape my fingers.
That's an adaptation that you've done.
Yeah, and I've noticed a lot of other people started taping their fingers.
You set a trend, Denise.
I did. I think I set
Denise,
a trend.
the
Even some of the guys, they start taping their fingers, and I was like,
that's because you started it. So they're
no shame. And
you're the example. You're the model. They're modeling after
I'm
you.
the mama.
So okay, so speaking of your roles as like the general mom of everyone, including me, you're also a GB ambassador for our area. Can you talk more about your role as a GB ambassador?
Yeah, so I'm actually I'm on the GB ambassador board, but I definitely am an ambassador for the GB ambassador program. Our GB ambassador program is a nonprofit that was started a couple years before my time, but they hadn't really developed it much. And Professor Carlos asked me if I'd like to be on the board. I had no idea what it was, but basically a GB ambassador is somebody that represents Gracie Barra wherever they go, on and off the mats, and they are somebody that represents the moral and the moral values, the core values of the Gracie Barra legacy. Integrity, growth, and development. And they are helpers at the school. They're friendly. They help teach classes. They're competitive in terms of they want to compete. They need to compete to be an ambassador. So this is a nonprofit program. I'm on the board. I'm helping raise funds so that these athletes can compete almost on a full-time basis, compete and train as ambassadors, and we help them pay for their competition fees and their travel fees. And GB Wear is a sponsor, which is wonderful, that they provide complete gear twice a year for our ambassadors.
That's amazing.
Right now we have 9. There's 11 schools in Illinois, and we have 9 ambassadors. And when I started, we had 1, and I only started a year and a half ago. So we've gone from 1 to 9. We had a Jiu Jitsu-thon, which is our first annual Jiu Jitsu-thon this past year, that we raised over $30,000, which is amazing.
Gosh, woo!
I know. So we'll continue that in the future, and hopefully grow the program, and get more talented kids out on the mats, and more role models in their schools, because we want the jiu-jitsu way of life to infiltrate the schools, and give these kids better role models than what they might otherwise have. So discipline, integrity, loyalty, reliability, all that good stuff. The ambassadors will exemplify, or do exemplify, and I'm really excited to be on the board, helping that program grow and get stronger. And we do have 2 female ambassadors, which is awesome. So 2 out of 9 is not bad.
I got plans to get them on the podcast.
So it's just been really, really fun. And talk about getting more involved in. I had no idea I would get involved in jiu-jitsu in this way.
And now you're involved in everything,
And now
Denise.
I'm on the board, and everybody,
And we love it.
Yeah, so
we love you, Denise.
Lots of fun. Oh,
I can't imagine the school without you.
Well, thank you. I can't imagine not going. So, ladies, don't wait. Just get out there and do it. Just put your toe in the water and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, we kind of touched on this a few times earlier throughout the conversation, but just to kind of sum it up, like, what advice would you give to other people who are interested in jiu-jitsu but maybe think that they are too old to start?
Well, I would say this: assess yourself realistically, physically. I would say there's no physical limitations, but I don't know. Just be realistic about your body's capabilities. Let's put it that way. And then, if you want to try it, I would do your homework about schools in your neighborhood, schools around you. Make sure they're clean. Make sure they have women
Yes.
They don't need to have a ton of women. We don't have a ton of women, but that
we don't
they
have a
respect
ton. I mean,
women.
We're
and
growing the program, but
Exactly.
yeah. And actually, Denise, at the time of recording this, it hasn't come out yet, but that's the second episode that I did, was how to find a good jiu-jitsu school.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So perfect.
So out there in podcast land, by the time you're listening to this, you would have hopefully already listened to that.
Okay, so cool. So find a good jiu-jitsu school.
Yes.
And then devote as much time as you can to it in a consistent manner, especially at the beginning, because if you don't, I feel like if you don't at the beginning, you're gonna maybe, you might lose interest or get too frustrated because like we said before, there's a ton to learn, and you're constantly learning. And if you only go once a week, I would just say go as much as you can, and dive right in. Just dive right in.
And we always say it's like jiu-jitsu for life.
Yeah.
So like you just touched on now, like people feeling like they have to necessarily learn everything there is to know if they're only able to come once or twice a week. This is an art for a lifetime. There's always something to learn. So I would just kind of piggyback off of what you said.
Yeah.
Just give yourself time. Like this is buckle in for the road trip here.
You're never gonna know if you don't try.
Exactly.
And you don't have to say I'm gonna be a black belt, because that's not why I walked through the door. It was I just need to try something. I need to try a martial art and see if I like it. And here I am.
Yay.
4 years later, still doing it.
Well, I think you will be a black belt, Denise.
I hope so. Now that's one of my goals.
Yeah. Well, now you're a purple belt. But it's like, when I don't know of any like adult, maybe like at least I haven't met one yet, who walks in the door with the intention of becoming a black belt. I know for myself that wasn't the case. I mean, you've already described for yourself it wasn't the case. But now that we're in it,
now we want to do it.
Now it's a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that you're, it's like,
exactly.
Goals change over time. Like,
Yeah.
And you never know that, it's like you never know that was a goal that you had until after you started doing it.
Right. Right.
And honestly, maybe that's never somebody's goal. Maybe they're just like, I don't care about that. Like you just said, like maybe they're just like, I don't care about that. I just want to do this, try something new, have fun, whatever. And that's totally fine too. Absolutely. We want to encourage everybody who's interested in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and
to do jiu-jitsu.
Reach out to us.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're on Instagram, right, Denise?
Yeah.
What's your handle?
It's just Denise C. Andrews.
And I'll put that in the show notes too.
Put that in the notes. And if you're interested and you're in the Chicago area, let me know. I'll go to a class with you.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my
that's
gosh.
the other thing. You can always try to find somebody in the class and just say, hey, will you escort me to a class?
Yeah, definitely.
That helps with nerves as well.
Yeah, so if you're interested and you're here in our area, we're in Chicagoland, just get in touch with Denise at Denise C. Andrews on Instagram. I'll put it in the show notes. Also, my Instagram handle, both of them, are in the show notes always. So at Jiu Jitsu for myself, or at the podcast at Jiu Jitsu podcast.
I want to back up and say, not only in the Chicagoland area, in Illinois, because we have 11 schools, and we can hook you up with somebody at any one of those schools.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we're a network. We're not an isolated entity. We are a network of connected, brothers and sisters. So, yeah, for sure.
So let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
All
right. My God. Thank you, Denise. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me, Stacy. It's been awesome. What a great ride it's just been.
This is the best. I love this.
And congratulations on starting your new podcast, that bucket list item of yours, I'm sure.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast, give it a rating, and leave me a review. If you have any questions for me, or if there's something you want me to talk about, then DM me on Instagram at Jiu Jitsu Podcast, or email me at jujiteraspodcast@gmail.com. These will all be linked in the show notes below. See you next time.